Hi, Roger. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. We find ourselves in this non-dual space again and
Yeah.
again and again.
Wow.
But it's
Yes.
good to be
It,
here.
it's
How are you
good.
doing, Camilla?
Yeah, I am very excited. I'm loving this Monday, Thursdays conversations that we've been having, and I'm very sad that you're leaving. I mean, but
I'll
you're
be
coming
back.
back. Yeah.
I'll be back. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
next week, huh?
Next Sunday. Yeah, as long as
Wow.
they don't cancel my plane
Oh,
because
wow.
they moved it. It was on Saturday, but they moved it to Sunday because of
Is
COVID
it?
stuff.
Yeah.
But
Oh, wow.
no, hopefully, if all goes planned, I'm going to Portugal, to the place where they speak your language or a
Yeah.
version of your language.
Yeah. Do you speak a bit of Portuguese?
I don't know any. I just know obrigado. I'm thinking I need to learn some phrases like how to say where is the train station.
Okay. Okay. If you
Before
need
I leave,
help,
I should.
let me know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I need to ask you some phrases. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
But
Yeah.
what about you? What have you been thinking about then
About
for this talk? Yeah, for this
for
conversation.
this talk. Yeah. So I think topics are coming to me every time we have a session. I I I sit down and I think, what am I going to study? Because everything is so new to me, even though I've heard those concepts or those words, those concepts before when I attended to Vipassana retreat, or even when we are in our meditation group. I hear some things when I watch some videos, but I felt like the concepts they were not integrate. I had, for example, emptiness here, but one it's there, impermanence there, and it felt like they were all separate things. And I was wondering how those things come together. Since
Mm,
everything is one, it must have like they have to correlate somehow.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I love Leo Gura, as you know, and sometimes I'm on his channel. I'm looking at the contents that he has there, and I'm like, what does seem more interesting to dive in now? And then some days ago, I thought I should study impermanence. So the topic for today's conversation is impermanence. And yeah, when I was at Vipassana retreat, I learned the concept of anicca. So
Nietzsche,
anicca,
Nietzsche.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so we talked a lot about impermanence at Vipassana retreat, how sensations are arising and passing away, how the nature of the mind it's not constant, but ultimately, like the universe reality, it isn't constant. And it's something so difficult to understand because although it seems like a simplistic statement, things are passing. If I say that, for example, to my mom who has no studies on this, if I tell her, Mom, everything is passing, she would say, yes, of course, everything passes. But although it seems like simplistic to integrate this, like is passing, it's difficult, and I wonder why. Why is it? Why is it difficult to understand that
Mm,
the nature of, I'll say, reality is always constantly passing? What do you think? Why is it so hard?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think what the insight into impermanence is, yeah, one that people can grasp quite intuitively. It's quite obvious. You explain it, and
Mm-hmm.
most people they're like, well, yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you can learn to understand it at kind of deeper and deeper levels, and really, I don't know, you can get this nugget of wisdom can be more integrated into the rest of your
Mhm.
system, so that
Mhm.
more parts of yourself understand impermanence. And
Mhm.
that's something I've yeah seen in my own journey, just like really getting this more and more
Mhm.
and more, that everything will come and go and change.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
something. Oh, sorry.
What
I
about
think
yourself? I mean, have you
I
have
think
you
my
noticed?
connection. One second. I think my connection it's not good, but
Yeah,
let
there's a little
me
bit of a
delay on
lag.
it. Yeah. Let me see if I will hotspot here and you get better. Let me know if it's better.
Okay, hopefully that's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay. Can
Yeah.
you hear me? Okay.
No, yeah, I can hear you, but there is a delay. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a delay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder why.
So
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. No, yeah. So something that I came across as I was studying this is that object and form are different things. So from what I understood, form would encapsulate everything, emotions, feelings, non-material things. So when we say all forms are non-constant, it means that anything is constant, anything is permanent.
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing,
Nothing.
yeah, nothing is permanent. Everything is always arising and passing away. Yeah, so I guess the question is why is reality structured this way?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Why? Yeah, why is reality the way it is? I don't know.
Do you think it is something that we discover with enlightenment and mystical experiences? Why?
Why the universe is the way it is?
Yes, why reality is impermanent and not some other way.
There's there's a cascade of whys. So you
Mm-hmm,
can ask why this, but then you get an answer at one level, but then you need to ask another why. Well, why that? And
mm-hmm,
then okay, then you need to ask another
mm-hmm,
why. Well, why that? Why that? Why
mm-hmm.
that? Why? You go why all the way back.
Yeah,
And I don't think you can ever answer the ultimate why question.
no, it makes
Ever. Yeah.
sense. It makes sense.
And in the process of learning things, what we find is often the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So there's three sets here. There's things you don't know, and things you don't know.
Mm-hmm,
And the things you don't know are infinite.
mm-hmm,
And the things you don't know is very, very big and always larger than the set that you do know. And it seems to be the more we learn, we know, the more we realize we don't know.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Leo attempts to ask this question, why is reality impermanent? But I mean, I couldn't get the answer, and I felt that must had something more. Like you said, there's always a why. So he said it's because God is a shapeshifter, and I wanted to ask that. We talked before that he has this idea of God. So I mean, it is wrong to talk about this concept of God as being everything, as being oneness. Or could I say God, but God is a name leading to something else? Because he's always saying that, like God is that, it's because God wanted. But what is God if it's not me? I mean, he says that God is everyone, everything.
everything, yeah, everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when he says that the reason why reality is impermanent, he says that it's because God is a shapeshifter.
Yes, but that doesn't answer the question, why is
Yeah,
God
and
a
it doesn't.
shapeshifter?
Yeah, why is God a shapeshifter? Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't. Yeah. He says also that it's because consciousness is infinite and empty and takes different forms, and God, or I don't know, wants to experience everything and love in all the ways that is possible. So
yeah.
that
But
would be
why?
the. But why? Yeah. Why does God
Why does
want
God want to
to?
do that? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this answers. I don't think this answers the question at all. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think it matters? I mean, what should we get from this? Like, so when we say that everything is impermanent, how does that impact one's life by integrating this concept? How did your life change when you realized that?
Yeah. A big feature of this
Sorry,
is
sorry, a big picture.
a big feature of
A feature.
understanding impermanence feature is a lot of people have quite like a myopic view, quite they have tunnel vision on their particular mood that they are in right now. And the state of mind you're in, the mood you're in, shapes your perception of reality. We're always looking through particular lenses. And as our blood sugar levels change and our mood changes and the environment changes, we take off the lenses and we put on different lenses and we see the world in different ways.
Hmm.
And we're always looking at the world through lenses. And a lot of people don't realize that they are always changing lenses. That the way that their attitude and the way they thought about a particular topic or subject or person or whatever was different to how they thought about this same thing the day before or recognize or the hour before. Um, when you have enough metacognition, you're able to like have this perspective where you're noticing the shifting of the lenses, you're noticing that you're changing lenses. And this shows you more that, there's many different ways to see the world. And the way I'm seeing the world is always changing. And so you notice that whatever state or frame of mind that I'm in right now, it is one of a myriad of states and framings of the world. And you're less locked into it because you have a perspective to notice that this way I see the world now will change. And if it's a particularly gloomy way to see the world, where you're very depressed and upset about things, it can understanding impermanence can curtail your level of suffering because you know, okay, the way I'm seeing the world right now is not a particularly pleasant way to see the world, but at least I know it's not forever. At least I know, let me sleep a little bit, do some exercise, get some more food in my system, socialize a bit more wherever I'm going to see the world in a different way,
Yeah.
hopefully a better way.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make
Sh-
sense?
It does. It does. One second.
Yeah.
Let me close this. No, it makes total sense when we
Sort
are
of sense.
living.
Yeah. I like that.
Sorry.
Did you say it makes sort of sense?
No, I try to say total, total,
Oh,
sort of,
total
but
sense. Okay, good,
no, it
good, good.
is,
Good to
yeah,
hear.
total, total sense. When we are living whatever, so we want to freeze the good things, but
Mm,
we we think when the experiences are bad, or I like that you said the lenses, or the lenses
mm,
through which I'm seeing reality is good, are good. I want that to be frozen. But when it isn't, we tend to think that it's going to last forever. Like we but it is a bit stupid because I mean we have lived years and years, but still uh, we know that things are going to pass, but still we think that whatever state we are in is permanent. So if we are happy, we get very disappointed after it passed, like it was
After
meant
it
to last
passes.
after
Yeah.
it passes, as though it was meant to last forever. But when we are sad, we think that will never pass, but it always does. But it's difficult to accept. Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the traps to enlightenment. Like you experience like a really like amazing state, and you're like, oh, is this it forever? I'm enlightened, and I'm gonna feel this amazing way forever now. And
Yeah,
then obviously it ends, and you're like,
yeah,
um,
yeah. I wonder how that feels. I would be devastated, maybe.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
do we get attached to things?
Why do
Do I
we get
ask many
attached?
whys?
It's good. It's good. So do
Why
I.
do, why?
Um, why do you think we get attached to things? And I'm saying that because I don't I don't know, so I'm just gonna put it
Okay.
on you. I don't know why we
Okay.
get attached to things.
Um, well, I think maybe I feel like for me, I'll tell you for me. So I'll give you an example of something that happened yesterday as I was studying and trying to integrate all this topic. So I have a friend, and well, I'm not sure if I could say he's a friend, but I would like us to be friends. And I've made a couple of mistakes in the past with this person, but we've been talking on and off. And I would like to talk to him more than I do. And yesterday we were exchanging a lot of messages. Some students canceled, so we were talking more. And I get so excited because we were talking more, and I was there. We were exchanging messages, and wow. And then I caught myself later wanting that to last. So now we are exchanging messages. We are friends again, and we are going to be in each other's lives. And I was like, but then for some reason that might be he was working, he stopped answering. He stopped answering, and he was not back and forth anymore. And that, so the first thought was, it's good because I have to study the topic that I'm going to talk to Roger tomorrow. I have to meditate. I have to organize, clean the house. So the first thought was that was good. Okay, it's good. I cannot be in the front of a computer the whole day. And okay, but maybe 30 minutes later, am I being rejected here?
Mhm.
Eh,
No,
Are
no.
we going to talk again? What happened? Did
Yeah.
I say anything wrong? Let me go back to the conversation and see. But then later, I was like, no, it's okay. But then, no, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was wondering, wow, that's the law of impermanence. So let me see how it fits here. Like,
Mm.
and then I was like, okay, so how does interaction with people happens? It's like we talk, but then we have other things, and it's okay because I do that with other people too. But this person is because we have this history, and I don't know where this friendship is, what page it is, or should I even know that? But it was because I was
What stage it
clinging,
is at? What stage it
what
is
stage it
at?
is
Yeah.
at, but it was because I was clinging to it. Like I,
Clinging.
w-
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I wanted that, and I was wondering why does that matter so much? Why to talk to this particular person is important? And then the answers that I found was that, I mean, selfish reasons. I mean, it's just because I want people to like me. I hurt him in the past, and I wanted to make things right, but there's no why exactly. And I could see that he, I went through different stages, and I could see clearly how the way I was thinking about that was changing.
Mm.
And yeah, but probably
Okay.
selfish reasons. What do you think? I hope he
Yeah,
doesn't
I've got
watch
some.
this. Uh, I hope.
Well, you're being real. You're being real,
Well,
and if he's a cool dude, he will
yeah,
appreciate
I don't know. Yeah.
authentic people as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got a couple thoughts on this. So I'm thinking, one, we we look to sources of happiness. So when something brings us pleasure or uplifts our well-being, we're trying to find that in our environment. Oh, here's a source of well-being. Okay, cool. Hopefully I can rely on this source. You can't rely on any source, but so you think you found something, and you know, especially as you're messaging, you get a message, it gives you like a little dopamine hit, and you know, boosts your mood in the moment. And I mean, another thing is, I think the brain is trying to recognize patterns in the environment. So we're trying to figure out what what elevates our mood, and yeah, what is the source of it, and how frequently does it come, why does it come, uh, how often does it come, yeah, or and I think often the brain falsely recognizes patterns where there aren't any, or it's trying to make predictions about how the world works, thinking, oh look, I've got this new source of well-being coming to me, let's take advantage of that, let's take advantage, and then suddenly that source disappears and you're like, what? The brain's thinking, what, I thought I could rely on this source of well-being, and it's gone now. Where'd it go? And we're confused about what's happening, and there's doubts, and the brain is trying to make predictions about, okay, well, why did it disappear? Is it because of me, or you know, how can you know? And it's like trying to create all these simulations about what is happening in the world in order to help you predict future behaviors and future events as well. So that's a kind of understanding I would take of this. But and it makes a big difference, like if you can have some big picture thinking on this. So if
Mm.
we, like you said, like as soon as you were able to like zoom out of this one conversation, it gave you a bit more perspective when you're thinking, okay, let me think about not this one conversation, but all the other conversations I've had in the world where I've talked to people and then suddenly I stop responding because I'm busy. It gives you more perspective. You think, oh, okay, I can put it in perspective and I can realize that, okay, it's actually a very predictable, normal thing to happen. It's not irregular. And the world still kind of functions how I can still make sense of it.
So yeah, it's something that's something Leo says also. I mean, I'm not sure if that's what you're saying, but he says that uh, we go into survival mode.
Mm.
So that's why we 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 cannot see the impermanence of things, because when so in this case, like this source of well-being, as you said, am I thinking I want to get like something out of my surroundings because I want to feel in a particular way that I consider as a pleasure. I want to have pleasure sensations. I want them to keep coming. And if I don't get what I think I should, I yeah, I start to feel unsafe. And
Yeah, I'm trying to think like I don't know if this is at all an accurate hypothesis, but I'm trying to think. So we haven't evolved to have, you know, instant messaging with people who aren't near us,
Mhm.
and what we have evolved for is you know, conversations with people who are in person with us.
Yeah.
And it would be very weird if you were talking to someone and you're like, okay, I speak, they respond, they ask a question, I respond, and it goes back and forth, and then suddenly that
Uh,
person just disappeared. The person just like stopped talking
gone.
and just walked away or something. You'd be like, what? It'd be very weird, and then
Yeah.
surely, yeah, your mood would go down.
Yeah.
But with a phone,
Imagine
obviously
that.
they could do that. They could just disappear.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think maybe something our
That's interesting.
primal
Yeah.
brain doesn't understand this sort of modern uh,
No, that's weird.
interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. So Leo asked us to think about, so which forms am I trying to freeze in my life. And
Mm.
people, ideas, the body, the health, appearance, financials. So he asked us like a homework, home assignment, like look at your life and the things that you're trying to freeze, the things that you want to perpetuate as they are. And he says that will fade. And I mean, everything that you cling to will disappear. And then he gave this example, like, for example, Google. So if we think about Google, we think that Google as has this monopoly over the internet or on the internet
Over
search
the internet, yeah.
over the internet. And we might think that it will keep going forever, but it's not true. There will be a point where it could be not in a decade or 100 years, but we do not have this longer picture perspective. Like Google will fade in a millennium, maybe, but it will. The maybe the internet will become obsolete. People will discover something more interesting
Mm,
than
mm,
internet.
mm.
But when he said that,
The
I was
internet,
like,
yeah.
yeah, internet, 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 internet,
The internet, the internet.
the internet. And then when he said that, I
Right.
was like, oh my God, where is Google going? The internet, it seems so amazing. Those are things that we do not consider much, that the things end and fade, right? And but they will.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It's a very
yeah. So for me, embracing impermanence feels depressing and negative. So I wanted to ask you,
oh,
is it a gift for you? The impermanence? It's something that you learned? Because the idea that everything
mm,
I have will be taken away from me. But that maybe I'm just seeing it from a wrong perspective.
mm,
But
mm,
so I've been like in this house for the past days and I love my apartment. It was so difficult to find. And as I was looking through the window, I was like, okay, so I'm here now. Who knows? Maybe I won't be in the future, probably won't be. And I was thinking about my family and friends and my cats. I mean, they are here now, but they won't be. And so Leo said that we should develop this thing called aurori. Have you heard this thing before? Aurori. Maybe I'm pronouncing it right. It
wrong. Well, pronouncing it
wrong.
wrong even.
Yeah, wrong. Oh, yeah, no,
Maybe you're
wrong.
pronouncing it right. Maybe you
No,
are pronouncing it right.
no,
Yeah.
probably wrong. Yeah,
Orari. How do you
aur
spell that?
aurori. It's like aware, but it is Japanese.
Oh, Orari.
Yeah, maybe yeah, I wrote how it's spelled here, aurori. So he said, aurori, it's learn how to enter a state without going to depression or angers or bitterness or nihilism. So you are sad for losing something, but at the same time you were thinking losing that something was not personal. So yeah, you were sad to lose my cat. He was 17 years. He was sad to lose it, to lose him.
17 years old. Yeah.
17 years old. But it was time. It was time for him to go. So it is a state of melancholy that
Hmm.
you are not attached. You are sad because you can feel emotions. Because at first, when I thought about impermanence, I thought like he would be like this master Zen. Oh, okay, so things pass, everything shall pass, and nothing affects my well being. So let it pass, let it go. But I'm here. I mean, so I like that he says that we are allowed to feel, but at the same time we should not as think that person in like consider that a personal attack to us. So I wanted to ask you, do you think impermanence is a gift or a
Mm.
curse?
Mm.
And do you suffer because of this law of impermanence? How is it for you?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think of it as a gift or a curse. I think of it as just the case. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing when you understand this better is, ah, you know, I would be a fool to think that a source of well-being I have now, I can rely on it for the rest of my life, because it will eventually, nothing is reliable, ultimately reliable. It will disappear. And you can enjoy things while they're here, but then when they do eventually disappear, it shouldn't be a shock to your system. You should know, well, of course, yeah, I know that was going to happen, of course. And yeah, it has a way of releasing attachment, so you become less attached to things. You still enjoy things while they're here, but then it's not shocking when it ends. And I think for a lot of people, many things are shocking when it ends. I mean, yeah, do I suffer because of them? No, suffering. Understanding impermanence has been a good thing. Because it's a it's a way of understanding the world that makes more sense than thinking that things are permanent. And just when you're able to better understand reality and predict what's going on, what's going to happen, that things will end, there's less surprise. There's just negative surprise, negative shock. So that's helpful in that
Mhm.
in that regard.
Yeah. 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 He was saying also, Leo was saying that um, how terrible would it be if things lasted forever? So he said, so you
Oh
have your
yeah.
favorite flavor of ice cream. Imagine eating your favorite ice cream 10 times every day for a whole year. You wouldn't like you wouldn't like your favorite ice cream that much anymore if you had it
Mm.
that much.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, it's
I know for me, I mean, I've never wanted to live forever. I always thought, no,
yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah, so I'm more glad that things will end than things will go on forever. That scares me more, to think, oh, something would go on forever. That's more scary to me than the fact
Mhm.
that it will stop. For you?
Yeah, on that regard, I would like to read something to you. I wrote down a quote. So he they this person called Zina Shrek. She was trying to define shapeshifting, and then she said, shapeshifting requires the ability to transcend your attachments in a particular in particular your ego attachments to identity and who you are. If you can get over your attachment to labeling yourself and your cherishing of your identity, you can be virtually anybody. You can slip in and out of different shells, even different animals forms or deity forms. Deity?
Deity.
Deity. Deity forms. So are we really going to die? I was contemplating this. If we transcend this, if I mean, I don't know when it could happen, but I'm not sure if even if in this human form, but when we have awakenings or a glimpse of enlightenment or several awakenings, because maybe this is too massive, I don't know. Um, is it possible for you to be other people? Is it possible for you to, like she said, slip in and out of the different shells? Of that is supposed to happen after we are not in this human form? Or is it something that we could learn now how to do that?
Yeah, yeah. So it's possible to have certain experiences where the the representation of oneself. So I think we've got something called like a body schema, which is a model representation that the mind holds of yourself. So proprioception is. It's like this ability to sense where your limbs are in space. So even when you close your eyes, you can still you still have a feeling for the shape of your body,
Mm-hmm.
where it's at. That model, that internal representation of your body, can be disrupted and can be distorted and can change, and you you can feel like your body is in a different position than it really is, or in fact it can even feel very different. Like you can feel like you have a totally different face, like you have someone else's face. The contours of your face just feel different. Body shape feels different. um, these are experiences that can happen. um, what else was there? So you're saying you could.
Yeah, she said that once we let go of our attachments to our identity, and when we stop labeling ourselves, we can be we can be virtually anybody. You can
Oh
slip
yeah, yeah,
in and out of different
in
shells,
and
even different animals and
yeah.
deities.
And I'll say
Deities.
another thing. Deities, yeah.
Deities.
So not only can you have, so you've got your perception of your body as it is now, how it feels in space. That perception can change and be distorted under some, altered
Mhm.
states of mind. But another thing you can recognize is the sense of I, the feeling of I that you have here is not personal. Like it's just a sense, a feeling, a sense of I, and that this this particular example of I. So you've got the raw feeling of I, and then you can add things on top of it, like personality traits, a storyline, history, memories. But if you get back just to the raw feeling of I, and you can identify what I-ness feels like, stripped of other baggage, the feeling of this I is not necessarily numerically, but um, qualitatively identical in all instantiations of I. So the feeling of I that I have is qualitatively identical to the feeling of I that you have, and the feeling of I in all manifestations of the I. Do you follow this thought? No, no, it's okay.
Okay, so the feeling you're talking about personality or no?
No, so get not about personality, just the raw feeling of I. I am. I.
Okay.
That if you can individualize, if you can separate this feeling out in your experience from the other stuff,
Hmm.
so this is got to be the same in all instantiations of I. So the I that I feel, whoa, that's the same I that qualitatively feels the same in me now as it did with um, a Chinese peasant in the 1600s.
Hmm.
And then you can get the sense of it is like I don't die. I mean, maybe this body stops functioning, but the I that is just the raw I, that's going to keep appearing. That's going to keep appearing here and there, and in you and in me and in someone around the world, and in God if God has an eye, and aliens if aliens have eyes, and not eyes, but the
I
eye,
know. I know.
and in animals, that feel the sense of I.
Yes, I feel that. So when you say that you're not longing for dying, but that you're glad that you will one
Mm.
day, what is it glad that what we will die?
Yeah, the way I view it is, I feel like there's a part in me, and I think this is the case for everyone. There's a will to be and a will to not be. So best way to get in touch with that is just
Hmm.
the will for experience is a part of you that wants experience to continue. There's a part of you that wants experience to stop. The part of you that wants experience to stop is quite obvious when you're going to sleep at night and you can't sleep and you're just lying in bed tossing and turning, and you're like, oh, why can't I just fall asleep? And there's a part of you that you just don't want to exist in that moment. You want to be unconscious, and we think when you die you will be unconscious. It's like there's a will inside of you that just wants to not be.
Hmm.
um So I don't know. There's this will in me. I think. I mean, I can rationalize it. There's something that's. I hope this is the case that when I die, there will be no suffering. When I'm really dead, there will be no
Hmm.
suffering,
Hmm.
and that's a great thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to suffer.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you relate to what I'm saying?
I can. Yes. 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 I have the feeling sometimes when I wake up that I'm waking up from peacefulness, that that was a pleasant thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But do you think that we have to suffer? I mean, once we get in touch with all of this spiritual knowledge, do we still suffer, or we suffer less? We don't have to suffer more than we should have. But so for example, I remember that the other day you were feeling under the weather, and but you were fine, although your body was
Mm.
not. We had a conversation and you were okay.
Mm.
So
Mm.
but were you still suffering then?
I'm always suffering.
Really? But what does that come from? Why?
Yeah. I have a very specific definition of suffering.
Mm,
So when I say suffering, I mean something very, very
okay.
particular. Um, and my criteria for suffering is yeah specific but very widely applicable. Meaning, what I would count as suffering, suffering is made up of I guess three, by my interpretation, three phenomenological elements: the sense of self, negative valence, and some form of contraction. This is what makes up suffering. This is what I think makes up suffering. The
So
thing is,
would you repeat, please? I lost.
the sense of self, the sense of self,
Okay.
negative valence,
Hmm.
and a form of contraction.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got a note that I've written this, and I'll share it with you.
Hmm.
So I believe whenever there's a form of the version of self, a form of self, of I appearing, there's some suffering taking place.
Hmm.
Very maybe it's very very minimal, very very minimal. A lot of this suffering is bearable. It's like, okay, I can live with it. It's not so bad. But I still think when you compare the experience of having a self to the experience of no self, it's kind of night and day. When there's no self, no suffering. When there's even a little bit of self, there's a little bit of suffering. And this is the negative valence element, which is this a base level judgment of not wanting something to continue, not wanting an experience to continue. That you would prefer if this experience or this part of experience would stop. And as far as I know, like I said, you can't function in the world without a sense of self, like we talked about before. And so if you've got a sense of self and you're functioning in the world, you've got to have some suffering.
Hmm.
Yeah. But we can reduce that suffering. We can make it minimal and bearable. And
How? Meditation, knowledge,
so
practices,
many,
so many
so many
things.
things. Living in, I don't know. So it's more than meditation. Yeah. There's so
Hmm.
much more.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, so thank you. It's been wow, it's been amazing to have these conversations with you because I've been studying, I've been learning so many words as I told you earlier. I appreciate so much what you've been doing. So thank you, Roger.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And hey, I really appreciate you too, Camilla. And I love talking about these topics with you. You know, this is
Hmm.
I'm passionate about this stuff as well. And
Oh wow,
it's
cool.
great to see you're so interested and curious and wanting to learn about these things. That's great.
Okay, so I'll see you on Monday. I wish you
See you
a
Monday.
good rest of week. Yeah, we'll talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend, Camilla. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.